Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started then, because I think everyone's in. My name is Eva Olivares Maloney, and on behalf of the OVPRS and the CTSI, I'd like to welcome you to our informational session for the University of Miami Public Voices Fellowship Program in collaboration with the OpEd Project. A bit of housekeeping, please make sure to keep your mics muted. We will have a Q&A session at the end of our conversation once all of our panelists conclude. And for the Q&A, please make sure to raise your hand. And once you're called upon, please unmute yourselves, and then we'll have the chance to direct your questions, to address your questions. Okay, so our panel today is composed of Ashley Zwick, Director of Fellowships, and Katarina Wong, Associate Director of Fellowships at the OpEd Project. They will share information about the OpEd Project and answer any questions about the program. We will also hear from our previous cohort fellows, Melvin Butler, Professor of Musicology at the Frost School of Music, Tamara, Professor of Law at the School of Law, Monteith, Associate Professor of Clinical Neurology. They will share about their experience and how this fellowship has impacted their careers. Welcome once again, and without further ado, here's Ashley Zwick.
Thank you so much, Eva. Thank you, everybody. I'm so glad to be with all of you. I understand that you have an application deadline on August 13th. And so many of you are here considering applying for the Public Voices Fellowship. And I'm glad to see all your faces and your photos. I am not the most important part of this Zoom. You get to hear from three incredible colleagues of yours and year one Miami fellows. So I think I'm really going to save most of my comments for question and answer towards the end. But I just want to give you a little bit of context into the Public Voices Fellowship. So this is our signature program at the OpEd Project. We've been around for about 12 years, and we have run, and I have a small person who you might see. We've been running fellowships at the OpEd Project for about 12 years with institutions across the country, universities, foundations, nonprofits. We have many thousands of fellows in our network at this point. So you've seen the application, so you know this is a year-long program, and it's really, our mission is to change who writes history. This is an experiment in investing in your thought leadership and public knowledge. We are looking for a diversity of voices, people across your institution. And I mean like capital D diversity, not just gender and race, but by industry experience. You all know things that the rest of us need and want to know to make our world smarter and more just. And so those are the folks that we are really looking for to join us in this year-long experience. There are we will gather 4 times throughout the year, and we'll do a bunch of our curriculum, and our pedagogy is very playful. We'll play a lot of games together. We really interrogate knowledge and credibility. What do you know, and what value does it hold for the world? We also will pair you with a coach, a member of our team, an experienced journalist who knows sort of the ins and outs of op-ed writing, of publication, of pitching, and we will work with you to develop your ideas, to put them out into the public sphere. We're really looking for people. This is my last point, and then I'm going to turn it back over to our fellows, but we really want people who are committed to doing this work with us. And so committing to apply to the program, it's a nice line on your resume, but we really are firm in our requirement that you publish during the year that you spend with us. We're looking for each fellow to produce at least 2 pieces of thought leadership throughout their fellowship year, and folks that can attend all 4 convenings. So I would say if you look at the dates that Eva has provided and you have a conflict on one of those dates, you should probably apply next year, because missing one of those convenings is such a seminal part of the fellowship experience that we want you all to be there, not just for yourself, but the work that you'll do as a cohort is really important too. So I think I will leave it there and then jump in with any questions and answers either throughout or at the end.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat box, or we can address them at the end of our conversation. I just wanted to brush up on the application process. In order to be submitted for this fellowship, you will need to submit your application via our info-ready review system by 11:59 p.m. on Friday, August 13th. We've moved the deadline from August 6th to the 13th. To allow more time for interested applicants to learn more, to attend the info session, and to gather their letters to submit to us on that date. So again, the new deadline is August 13th by 11:59 p.m. I will put more information about where to submit your application in the chat box as well. And I guess we can go ahead and move along. And so let's have our first panelist, Melvin Butler, Associate Professor of Musicology from the Frost School of Music. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. It's great to be here and great to see everybody. First, let me just say thanks for giving me this platform to share a little bit about the OpEd Project and the Public Voices Fellowship. It was such an honor to be among this cohort of colleagues here at the University of Miami. All of us were sort of in this together and trying to figure out how to do this. And I thought in the brief time I have, I would just comment a little bit on some of what I saw as the challenges of the program going into it, how I sort of resolved those challenges internally, and then what the benefits have been to me in sort of working through some of those challenges, and both in terms of my career, my self-confidence, and I think the impact of the work that I'm doing and hope to do. I am a musicologist, an ethnomusicologist by training, and I'm also a saxophone player. But my academic work centers on music and religion in African American and African Caribbean communities. And so when I was first, when I first saw the application for Public Voices Fellowship, it was probably one of those emails that I just immediately, archived or discarded or something like that. That's probably not for me. And but eventually I did apply, and once I got involved in it, there was a kind of momentum that really couldn't be stopped, and one feels sort of compelled to produce something. And so I did write I did end up writing two op-ed pieces. One of them was titled "Why Black Gospel Music Still Matters Despite the Rise of Contemporary Christian Music," that was published in the Chicago Tribune on May 2nd, 2020. And then the other one was "Does Kamala Harris's Music Matter?" In September of 2020. And what's interesting about both of these op-eds for me is that the word matter is in both of them. And it's kind of ironic because in a way that was my biggest concern. Like I was thinking, I'm a musicologist. Why does anybody care about music? Why is music relevant to the broader issues of the day? And all the more intimidating was the fact that I was in among this group of Public Voices fellows who a lot of them were from the medical school doing like this cutting edge research on things that are like life and death. And so I was constantly sort of battling that thought in my mind that, oh, what I say is much less important than what these other people are saying. And then, of course, I started comparing myself to all the other people who are writers of op-eds that you see out there in the New York Times and in various outlets who seem to have things that are so relevant to the political issues of the day. And so getting over that challenge for me involved really being intentional about finding connections between the work that I'm passionate about and how it relates to the communities that constitute my unit of study. And I think I was able to do that. I mean, to my surprise, I actually succeeded in getting two op-eds published. And the first one really involved Chicago, which is a city that I lived in right before moving to Miami. And I was able to write this piece on the National Museum of Gospel Music. And so what was the challenge for me was being willing to take on a risk to say something that was counterintuitive. That is that this museum, while everyone, while it was something worthy of celebrating, was also, as I put it, a kind of unwitting concession that Black gospel music is more yesterday's news than today's inspiration. So I was like finding a way to kind of critique the museumification of gospel music, and arguing instead that while this is still relevant in the present, and I don't want to relegate it to the past, and it got published. And I kept also relying on this common quote that was often repeated in our meetings, and that's it's kind of like a motto, I feel like, of the OpEd Project. That's, if you say things of consequence, there may be consequences. The alternative is to be inconsequential. And that really struck a note with me. I struck a chord with me, and it's like, because I want to be consequential. I want my work to matter, and I want it to be widely read, and understanding that I do have something to say. So this was an opportunity, a challenge, an opportunity and a challenge to strip away the jargon of my normal academic way of writing, to take a risk and to put myself out there in the public sphere. The benefits for me, I think, have certainly been greater visibility of the work that I do. We often claim as scholars in musicology that we don't want to be sort of trapped in these ivory towers, that we want our work to have actual relevance. And this was a way to sort of put my pen where my mouth is. That's probably mixing metaphors, but it was a way to actually do it, in ways that I never thought I would. And what's also interesting about that for me is that I will never know all of the ways that I'm benefiting from this, all of the people that have read this work that would not ordinarily have come across my writing. But I do feel like I've planted seeds, and I've gotten some interesting emails over the past year, opportunities to apply for things. And, I like to believe that little extra bit of visibility, that placing myself in the public sphere is contributing to the overall perception of who I am as a scholar, as a human being, someone who has a voice. Lastly, I would just say that I think the connections that I was able to make with other like-minded scholars here at the University of Miami, who are very supportive and also taking on this risk, has been really encouraging. As well as the connections with the broader public of intellectuals and readers who don't have PhDs, who aren't academic professors, but who are just sort of everyday people, like my mom, who I can look, this is something that she can actually understand and be proud of. And most importantly, the connections to the people themselves who I want my work to touch and to reach. So I could say a lot more about that, but I think my time has probably expired. But just, in conclusion, there have been lots of challenges and concerns that I had going into it. I feel like I was able to resolve those, and I think still reaping the benefits of being a Public Voices Fellow.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. So we really appreciate you sharing. And so up next, we have our second panelist, Tamara, Professor of Law at the School of Law. So there we go.
All right. Well, first of all, it's great to see everybody. Am I muted? No, I'm not. Good. That would be naughty. So yeah, I'm a law professor here at UM, and I write about sexually violent predators, which is no one's favorite person, and I write about Title IX protections. I'm in a due process person, although ironically, Donna Coker, my book ends with a call to restorative justice as an option. So, but I write about controversial things, and I'm very empirically grounded in my work. And so I feel, I was a public defender for 10 years, and I feel this strong sense that what I have to say matters, because people are often misinformed about recidivism or whatever else. So I applied for this program, and I love what it sounded like, and I was excited by the idea of it. I was a little worried about whether or not it would be worthwhile, because like all of you, I'm very busy, and I didn't want to do something that I thought just would sound good on paper. And I have to say, I thought it was extraordinarily worthwhile. I absolutely think it was worth the time. I learned a lot from it. I'll begin by saying, as Melvin said, one of the best parts of it was I mean, we're at school in Miami and, you know, it's a big campus with people sort of in silos. Even if you do interdisciplinary work, which I do, you can still not know people in different departments. And so one of the exciting things was to see all these really interesting people that are doing fabulous work that I think matters. And so it makes you feel excited about the institution and excited about your colleagues. So that was fantastic. The people that run the program. So there were 3 people that came to all of our classes. There was someone named Samaji Best who is no longer with the program, but someone will take her place who will no doubt be fantastic. And that person's kind of runs these meetings. And then the 2 journalists come in. One was a woman named Angela Wright Shannon and someone named Neil Young, and they were superstars. I mean, they're professional journalists. They do incredible work. And so already the people that are working with us really know what they're doing. The 4 meetings were really useful. They're very good at breaking things down. Well, they sort of start with challenging what we think of as expertise. And they make us think about the ways in which we have expertise, because people often underestimate or undersell the ways in which our voices matter and have legitimacy. And so that was a really fascinating and worthwhile way to begin. So they sort of begin with that, and then they walk you through in the course of this how you approach, one of the big messages is that how whatever you're interested in, you can take some news hook and then make it fit what you're interested in. Neil Young is particularly good at that. And so they're very strategic and helpful. We did this exercise. I believe, Melvin, we had this kind of op-ed off, and then we voted. I think Melvin was the one that won it. And, you know, we crafted as a group an op-ed. And so I was a columnist for a running magazine for a few years called Running Times. And the more you write, the better you get. And so the more we do this, the better we get. And I thought it was sort of both higher level in the sense of that it was clearly engineered to get people's voices out there in the world, to challenge the what's often, you know, a white straight man, older man voice, and bring in all these other perspectives. And it was very successful at that, but it didn't just keep on this kind of theoretical level. It also got into the mud and told you how to do that. So that was extraordinarily helpful. What they do is, so you write an op-ed and you then send it to, you're assigned one of the 2 journalists. I worked with Neil. And so when you write something, you send it to the person and they send you back feedback, and you go back and forth until you have a draft that you think is ready. And then they help you write a pitch letter. So if you're sending something to wherever you're sending it, part of what you have to do is write a letter that's going to grab the attention of the journalist. And so, and they know people at CNN and the New York, wherever, they know all these different people. So when you send the letter, they help you write the letter that's going to draw attention to what you're doing. And then, of course, you know, they get things in motion and you cross your fingers. I also had 2 publications. I published something in Persuasion, which is a more kind of, it's called Persuasion, and it's called Protect the Accused. I was writing about Title IX and actually about Justice Ginsburg. And then the second one was called Sack the Republicans, Keep the Title IX Regulation. And that was published in the Chronicle of Higher Ed. And actually, the person from the Chronicle of Higher Ed has reached out to me again. I'm supposed to write another piece about Title IX, and all this is extremely helpful for me because I have written, I was asked to write, I had a contract to write a book for Cambridge University Press. I wrote the book. And so this helps me get, you know, have legitimacy in terms of that I actually know what I'm talking about. So I think I've talked my time, so I'll just close by saying this. At the end of the day, what I think matters isn't just something that looks good on your CV, but whether or not it's something that gives you actual value. And I really believe strongly that this is a worthwhile program. I believe that you will grow, that you'll become a better writer, and you'll get your voice heard, which is what we all want.
Thank you. That was fantastic. So thank you for sharing that with us. Our next panelist is Tisha Monteith, Associate Professor of Clinical Neurology.
Thank you. I agree. This was an amazing experience. I came in to the program, of course you look at the requirements, and when I saw the requirements I had to do before you graduate, you have to complete 2 op-eds. I ended up doing 5 op-eds, just the obsession of knowing that I had to do 2 op-eds, and then it became 3 op-eds. And it was an amazing process. First of all, you get linked, as was mentioned, with a top journalist. So these are people that are in the field, extremely well connected. And you write your op-ed. First of all, I didn't even know really, I knew what an op-ed was, but I didn't really know what an op-ed was. So each paragraph actually means something. There's a strategy to every sentence that you place within that op-ed. And so they deconstruct the op-ed. I think your first day, you actually are literally deconstructing a couple of op-eds. And you look for a hook. So all these things are very specific techniques to get your point across and to have influence. So you write your op-ed, you send it to your journalist mentor, who's also like your coach and your cheerleader. And for me, there's always, when I'm writing, there's always kind of an area that's kind of a little weak and I don't know how to make that better. And that your coach finds that and then asks you a question, and all of a sudden it connects. And so it's just a perfect combination of wonderful things between having a great coach and having amazing colleagues that were so talented. And for me, I felt like I fed off of their energy. I would read, we would have, because you meet like about 5 times, and you have email chains that are going on, and every time someone publishes something, you read what they publish. And it's very inspiring because it's in the Washington Post and New York Times, all these great places to publish, and all these wonderful op-eds. So you learn from their experience, you learn from who they are. And so not only do you learn how to be a better writer, but it's also a bit of personal, that's my light. It's also a bit of personal development, because there's all these programs to get your voice out. How do you develop that public voice? There are a few people in our program that have not really, were somewhat intimidated by their own voice. And with that whole process, everyone just completely transformed. For me, it was very therapeutic, because 2020 was for many of us, was a very difficult a year. And so in addition to learning how to write, personal development was just like having friends that you can just talk to in a safe space and be on the same level. I ventured in areas that I would have never imagined myself venturing in. I wrote about policies. I corrected Donald Trump because if you remember, there was time that some of the soldiers were exposed to blast injury, and he said, oh, they just had headaches. Of course, I'm a headache specialist, and I had to explain what headache disability was and concussion. So I found myself being bold, having my voice, and I think this op-ed program, this fellowship, was absolutely transformative. And keep in mind that this fellowship there are many institutions, top institutions, that have this fellowship. And so you'll be part of this larger group that's not just within University of Miami, but of the alumni of OpEd. And so it's really powerful. You really tap into that kind of part of you that needs that development. And then I find myself to be a better writer as well. So not just writing op-eds, but even academic papers, more confident, but also more skills in how I do that writing. So it was an amazing experience, and I highly recommend it. And if you're concerned about the timing, really, it's not a lot of time throughout the entire experience. And then your chairman has to write a letter saying that he will protect, or she will protect, your time while you're in the fellowship. So all of your clinics will be canceled, and whatever your duties are, do not worry about that, because the purpose is to do well throughout this op-ed fellowship.
Perfect.
Eva,
thank you so much. Yes.
Can I give like just a tiny little bit of extra love here to Tisha and Melvin and Tamara?
Sure.
Because I mean, you guys, it was I think the last in-person convening we did. Your first convening was in February of 2020, right before everything changed. this could have been like another thing in an immeasurable year of challenge and lost time and everything. And you all just like, you rose to the moment. There was so much to talk about in this year, and you just like, everyone in your cohort rose to meet the moment. And it makes us so proud at the OpEd Project to have this affiliation with the University of Miami. And you're filling big shoes from this year one cohort, which just set in motion something really, really powerful. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And I echo everything you said. So we're so grateful to our panelists for actually sharing their experience and for being here with us today. And at this time, we're going to go ahead and open the floor to everyone for any questions that you may have. So just please remember to raise your hand, and then we'll go ahead and call upon you, and then we can go ahead and get it started. So if we have any questions. Or if you prefer to unmute yourselves. Oh, I see a question, a hand raised. Okay. Let's see.
Hi there, Ross Scalise. I'm at the medical school. Just a quick question then, just carrying off of the previous comment. Is it anticipated that the 4 sessions this upcoming year will be in person?
Oh, Ross, the $1 million question. I mean, listen, before March, every one of our sessions were in person. We did all 4 convenings on site. We've done it that way for 12 years. We translated all of our convenings and all of our pedagogy and curriculum, much that I'm sure all of you did with your classes, into something that we feel works incredibly well over Zoom. That said, we want to be back in person. We are, like all of you, kind of gauging when that might feel right and safe. The first convening will be over Zoom. We know that at this moment that the first convening will be on Zoom. And then Eva and I and our team and your team are just going to have to be in touch about what makes the most sense. I will say, I mean, I believe there's a real importance of gathering in person and doing this work together. And so my hope is that we will be in person for some of these convenings, but not a moment too soon.
Can I just say something about that, Ross, too, in terms of your question? So, you know, as we've heard from Ashley, we only had 1 meeting that was in person and the other 3 were via Zoom. And I'm not sure how my fellow panelists feel, but I thought that they were still extremely effective. I mean, they sort of would speak to us and then we'd go into breakout rooms and come back together. The exercise I talked with you about where we were having the op-ed off where Melvin won, you know, we did that in the breakout Zoom. So when I said that I think like the kind of bottom line is it worthwhile? I still strongly believe that you'll still get a lot from it. I think you'll get a lot from it in terms of the learning how to write well and sell yourself well. What you'll miss out on is one of the things that we all spoke was best, which was getting to know your colleagues across the university. That's obviously different via Zoom, but in terms of getting good, you know, getting help on writing, I think that will definitely take place regardless.
And I would just add too that I do think it was really helpful that we were in person initially. So I mean, maybe you'll do it the opposite way. You'll start out virtually and maybe hopefully, you know, be in person. Being in person, there was something about being in community with other people that, you know, being vulnerable together in that shared space. That was helpful, I think. So I hope that you also get to experience that in person if you are a Public Voices Fellow.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you both. The only thing I'll say is we take so much pride in this because we worked so hard as a team to make it work, but we repeatedly get feedback on our convenings that like, We are delivering a different kind of virtual facilitation than most other folks. And I will say many of our partners have reached out to us to ask us to do sort of a tutorial on our virtual facilitation methods. We did one at our partners at Harvard Medical School who were like, how did you do that? How do you design and develop this sort of, Tamara is talking about the 15-minute op-ed. We use a lot of creativity and tools to make things feel like you're not staring at a screen for however many hours.
And there's also breakout sessions so that the groups are smaller, a little bit more intimate.
Ashley, there's a question in the chat box from Roz. He's asking, at how many other institutions do you run this?
Well, currently we are at, it depends on when the timing, like when a fellowship launches, but we have active partnerships with about 15 institutions at this point in time.
Thank you. And then we have a question from Donna Coker.
I had to do a double click to unmute. Thank you so much. This is just really sounds wonderful. And so my question, it has to do with the application. And it seems to me that the various essays or writings overlap a lot. As I've started to try to draft, and as I'm thinking about my professional bio and how that's different than my expertise and how that's different than public value and how public value is different than why do I want a public voice. And I don't know if you have any words of wisdom about how you're imagining the differences between those questions and maybe what information you're hoping to draw from those different questions.
Ashley,
Eva, you want me to take that?
Sure.
I mean, honestly, the thing that we are most interested in, and I think you all use a version of our application, we really, really want to get it commitment. The University of Miami is investing, a considerable amount of money and time in each of you. And so we want to be sure that you understand the program very well and are committed to being there. We want to know why your knowledge and expertise is underrepresented, because our mission is tied up in bringing to light under ideas that we don't hear from all the time, right? Our founder, Katie Orenstein, she started the OpEd Project about 12 years ago based on data that she discovered that the op-ed pages they're largely written by people who are white, largely men, largely Western focused. And she thought, oh gosh, what is it? Why is that happening? Is it sexism? Is it racism? She went to the data, and it was really because white Western men were pitching the op-ed pages. And so the ratios were actually pretty well aligned between who pitches and who gets published. And so what are we missing? Because we're only hearing from this very narrow slice of the world. So we want to understand your commitment, why your idea, what you know, and why does the world need to know about it? What knowledge do you have that creates a more just world is basically how I would boil down our application questions. Does that help?
Very much. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Ashley. And let's see if we have any other questions from anyone else. Let's see any other questions. Okay. Is there anything else that anyone would like to share before we wrap up, since we don't really have any other questions at this time?
I had one other quick thought, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but one of the differences between writing for this program and my other scholarly work was that there was a real need and to write something that is relevant now. And so I was continually asking myself the question, why do people need to know this now? Why do I need to say this now? So it required being attentive to what's going on in the world, and then be able to craft something relatively quickly, which is so different from how we normally do it in the academy, where you make a draft, you send it in for revisions and comments, and you send it back. Like, no, it's like, this is like, things move at lightning speed. But it became really fun after a while, because I think, as one of the other panelists said, it's like every sentence matters, and it's a real good exercise in writing efficiently and succinctly and powerfully in ways that resonate with the tenor of our times. And it's one of the things I really enjoyed, and that I take with me into the other things that I do as an academic as well.
Thank you, Melvin. We really value your feedback and, everything you've shared about your experience, and especially coming from a male perspective. So yeah, if anyone else doesn't have any other questions, then I think we're going to wrap up.
Just one more comment is that the op-eds are short. They're really short. Unlike publications that are academic and big references, it's very short. So it's a time commitment in your mind, and hijacking the news cycle and saying something meaningful and powerful, but it's also short and attainable. I think that matters too.
That's a very great point. Thank you for emphasizing on that. Any other comments?
Thank you so much for, it was such a delight to listen to you all describe the program, and we're really honored to be here. We hope that you all apply and that we get to meet and learn about your ideas.
Perfect. So thank you, everyone. Once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you to our panelists, Ashley. This was very informative and very valuable. So we also hope that you all found it as valuable as we did. So stay safe, and thanks again.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe. Thank you.